Hello, this is Jane Stavum, Superintendent of the Sioux Falls School District, and this is our podcast. Join us for an audible look inside the Sioux Falls School District, where we'll put a spotlight on the people, places, and practices of our district. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to our podcast. I'm Jane Stavum, Superintendent, and with me today is another mom and daughter duo with just a little bit of a different twist today. Welcome to the Jensens.
Thank you for having us.
So, Hannah, first year teaching for you. What year teaching for you, Michele?
I am 6 days away from 29 years.
Woo! Yay, we should have take applause. That's awesome. The little twist, though, for the two of you is that you have spent the year in the same school building together.
We have. And
how'd that go?
who wants to go first?
Yeah. Let me give you a little bit better lead into that. Hannah, most of the time when we leave our nest and we go on to bigger and better horizons, we typically try not to land where our mother is. At least I really tried hard not to land where my mother was. Tell me how that happened. How did you end up at Jefferson?
Well, if you would have asked me 2 years ago, I would have swore up and down that I wasn't going to move back to Sioux Falls. I wasn't going to stay in South Dakota. I wanted to move to Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, somewhere. I love the West and the mountains. And then I was fortunate enough to get to do my student teaching at Jefferson. And just fell in love with the culture there and how everyone loves to be a Cav. And it was pretty fun to have my mom in the same building after spending 4 years away from her at SDSU, and we got to share a lot of the same students, and I genuinely woke up excited to go to work every day. And so when a position at Jefferson opened up, I said, all right, I know you want to move, but just apply, see what happens. If you get it, that's a sign to stay. And so I applied, I interviewed, and they offered me the job, and so the rest is history. That's
good. Yeah, a little 4-year separation, and it always helps a little bit. But was it a consideration? Did your mom know that you were applying? Did she know that before you were
She did.
in the application interview process?
But I get reminded often that I need to have boundaries. And so this was one of those things where I didn't want her to resent me or this opportunity because she felt like I was pushing her into it. And so I did try to take as much of a step back and say, what will be, will be. And if she gets a job there, then that will be what it's supposed to be.
And as mothers, we just want our children to be employed. Hopefully so they don't live in our basement. But it seems like I might remember that maybe you did come back to the basement for a little while.
Just recently, last week, actually.
And that's okay.
And it is okay. I am saving money, and she's a really good cook.
Well, that is a draw. I have heard that before. Well, let's talk about from that point forward. So you got the job, and I'm sure you were thrilled that you got the job. Then what area do you teach in?
I teach English 3. I teach both sheltered English and regular English 3.
All right. And Michele, you teach?
I teach biology and sheltered biology, and then I also get to teach forensics and teacher pathway. And so the students that we share are the sheltered biology and English 3 students. So they get Miss Jensen in the morning and Mrs. Jensen in the afternoon.
That's handy.
It is
So
handy.
how close in physical proximity did that put your rooms?
They didn't let us be close to each other. We're on opposite ends of Jefferson's building.
That's probably okay.
We get to eat lunch together, and so that's probably the only time of the day that we see each other at school is just during our lunch.
So that puts you in a unique position, and I think this is where the interesting part happens, because now you're colleagues. And sometimes colleagues agree and sometimes they don't, and building dynamics, things that happen. When was the first time that you really felt more like colleagues, teacher to teacher, than you did family member to family member?
Canvas training.
Oh, there's a very different, definite moment there that she's got in mind. Tell me about that.
Do you want me to go here, or do you want to?
You can go first.
I am a slow learner when it comes to technology, and of course, just was so comfortable in how I had been using Google Classroom and things like that, and she saved me. So we were at home, and I just said, I don't know how to make my home page cute. And so she click, 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 and all of a sudden I have cute home pages. And yeah, she was the teacher to me. But then when it comes to things like Infinite Campus and the things that I was familiar with, then I could assist in that area and show her how that worked.
That's really great.
Yeah. And I think also both teaching sheltered EL classes, not only sharing a lot of students, but she'll tell me, okay, this is what we did in science, and this is how we did it, and it worked really, really well. How could you use that in English? And so we've just been a collaborative team also with sharing these students and having kind of just the same struggles of, this is a really cool concept, but I'm not sure how to make it work. And so that's been really awesome.
Good.
We bounce ideas off each other all the time.
There's a lot of collaboration that goes on around
That's
the
good.
supper table. Yeah.
That's very healthy. Now, with all that collaboration, was there a moment where you said, get out of my room, I'll do this myself?
Again, canvas.
I can't hardly say that. I'm sorry, Michelle.
No,
Feel bad.
definitely.
No.
Like, you need to start figuring this out on your own.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, that was good too. Boundaries. Remember.
Boundaries,
Yeah.
Boundaries.
I mean, in August when we were all getting our Canvas pages ready and learning, and yes, I picked it up a little bit faster, also because just coming straight out of college, the learning management system I used at SCC was very similar to Canvas, and I hadn't been using Google Classroom for how many years, and so I'd be doing something, it's still summer technically, and she'd come into my room or call me, hey, I need your help to do this, can you please sit down? And I just wouldn't want to work on school. And so there were some times we'd get into a little tiff because of small things, but
Well, that's
Yeah.
normal.
Normal.
But overall, it sounds like you've weathered it pretty well. So this also means you have staff meetings together. And you had to kind of navigate your peers. What was it like, Michelle, for you now when your teacher colleagues that you've had for, 3 years, and now the next year you're going to have your daughter in the mix? Did you get any weird vibes from your colleagues?
We get a few comments from, just people that kind of will give us a hard time because we do have a lot of the same mannerisms.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
Yes. But I think for the most part, a lot of people got to know her during student teaching,
that's
or
true.
they had her as a student at their previous school. And so I think we both felt very well supported to have her in the building. And I don't know, we don't usually even sit by each other at staff meetings, do we?
I mean, we didn't today.
No.
No.
Well, that's
We
good.
kind of have our circles. No,
Yeah.
and it's not excluding each other, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you kind of find your way. And in high school staffs, I always just think they are so large that it is very easy to go a long time without seeing certain people because your paths just simply don't cross until you do get to a meeting. And then it's a big room full of people. And you're not physically that close because there's just too many of you.
I think another one of the perks, though, is because we know each other's classes and probably even students pretty well because we share them. Like if she needs to, quit, leave school because of some medical appointment or something like that, or I need her to step in, like it's easy. Or she can help with best buddies, or
Covering.
we know each other's things at school, so that on-staff sub is pretty easy.
nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what was the most fun part of the year? If you had to say, first year, mother-daughter in the same building, what was really fun about it?
Homecoming dress-up days.
Yes.
We got to coordinate those
we
outfits,
did.
so that was pretty
coordinate our
fun.
outfits.
What was your outfit?
I think our favorite one was probably
You
was
had the
some
whole
kinda-
week of
yes,
dressing
we did
up,
have the
uh-huh.
whole week, but one of the days was some kind of decade theme, and I'm teaching The Great Gatsby as a junior English teacher, and
Nice.
I love the 20s, and so I saw this as my opportunity to buy a Daisy Buchanan dress off of Amazon, so I ordered one, and then she saw that I ordered one, so then she ordered the same one, and I said, I don't think
Stop
I ordered
copying
it
me.
twice, and she goes, no, that was me, I ordered it, and so at first I was afraid she was gonna steal my thunder, but it was really fun
It was pretty fun
that we
when
were
the kids
both.
saw us together.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
good. So dynamics at home. Now there's two of you talking about school. How do other
Poor
people in your
boys.
home feel about
The
that?
3 boys that aren't in education
Yes,
sometimes just have to go watch ESPN and
Yeah.
let us.
a little space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just let us yap. a little.
So that's the good part. That was a fun moment. Was there a real downer, difficult moment that you can recall?
I think for us, because we are so invested in our students that are in the EL program, we just have students that found out that they would be going back to their home country, even though they didn't want to go. And we also have several students that they turned 18, and because of things that are going on in their life, they needed to pick earning money over getting their education. And
It's
so
really hard.
it's just really hard for us when, trying to help them the most that we can and support them, but just knowing like this is what they have to do for their family right now to support
Yeah.
them. That was hard.
But the strength of your family ties with each other, knowing just what family means and what, sometimes are those realities. I hope that's also what continues to motivate you to invest as heavily as I know you both do.
Absolutely.
The heart between the two of you is pretty big. Your hearts individually are pretty large, but boy, put them together, and that's a powerhouse
And
of heart.
Luckily, like at our lunch table that we get to spend with a lot of the same people every day, we have a lot of these same sheltered kids. And so they know that they're cared for every single period that they go to. And sometimes if they make poor choices, they know the next teacher is
It's
going to
gonna
call them
get
out on
on
it. So
them. Yup.
yeah, we are their family within the walls of Jefferson.
That's
so
good.
That's been fun.
So did you have any logistical nightmares like Jensen and Jensen? Did you have any course mix-ups, any schedule snafus, any people like, I thought I told you, and it was, I told you?
We've gotten a few
Emails for
or
each other?
something,
Yeah,
but
well, shoot.
we
I
also
used to-
have unique. Michele Jensen is our nurse in the building.
That's right.
But she's a 2L Michelle. So I'm used to getting a lot of incorrect emails about students' digestional problems. But that's a whole nother podcast.
It's another podcast.
But we're pretty good.
For the most
Um,
part.
The teacher appreciation notes.
Yes.
If it says Miss Jensen, like, is it for her or is it for me? So
Yeah,
then we have
because
to
we
look.
both kind of go by Miss J, Miss
Mhm.
Jensen versus Mrs. Jensen. Yeah, or some of my students, I'm not married, will write Mrs. Jensen, and
Uh-huh.
so it got delivered to her. I said, guys, I'm not married.
They just appreciate you both.
Yeah,
That is such a
exactly.
hard concept, isn't it, for kids? I remember that when I was a teacher. Like, they would ask about that. Now, is it Miss or Mrs.? And then I, would throw in a wrench of something else, and I just don't get it. So,
Yeah.
well, I think it is so unique that you have shared this space all year, and you have successfully come through on the other end. Michelle, was there ever a point where you thought maybe Hannah should take a different career path in teaching?
Never. I am lucky enough to get to teach Teacher Pathways and am in the point in my career because of the goals that I have in wanting to spend more time with my kids. Like, I don't think that there is a better profession. I've always been at the high school level, so I got to be with the 2 older kids while we were at Roosevelt together and be part of, they were both my students in biology. I got to have them on student council with me. And now our youngest will be a freshman next year.
Yes, he will.
Poor guy with his sister and his mom in the building.
Yeah, we'll have to
But-
have all 3 of you back next year, although I want to hear from
Oh,
him
God.
more than
He'll have a
anything.
lot to say. But honestly, as hard as teaching can be, when we can work through it together, and I mean share those common frustrations, but also the joys when we see our students succeed. We get to have a EL senior celebration tomorrow, and the kids are so excited that we're celebrating, just their accomplishments. How wonderful to get to do that together.
Was there anybody who came before you, Michelle, in your family who was a teacher that inspired you Are you the first one in your family?
In my close family, yeah, we're the first one. I have an older sister that's a teacher, but we are close enough in age that we were doing this together. Yeah, I guess when people ask me why I chose to be a teacher, I was a lifeguard, and I loved giving swimming lessons, and that just watching the kids grasp a concept. Yeah. And so then that's when I knew I wanted to be a teacher.
That's funny that you say that, because I think I knew it a little ahead of that, but that was one of the first things where it was orchestrating my schedule, and I had different groups all day, and it kind of really took on that teaching thing, and you had to kind of figure out your own methodology when you had kids that were like, no, don't get water on my face. Like, okay, but we're going to swim, so you're kind of going to have to. What am I going to do?
Talk to the fish, listen to the fish. Talk to the fish,
blowing lots of bubbles in there. Well, Hannah, if you were to think about this and you have a daughter someday, what would you tell your future daughter about being a teacher?
That it's kind of the coolest job ever. Yeah, I got to watch her make the job look easy, and it's not an easy job. I wouldn't choose anything else. I couldn't see myself doing anything else. But growing up, she just had so much joy going to school, coming home from school. I think it says a lot when you come home from your job and you still have so much love to give, and she just was bursting with joy. And she talked about her kids at school. It wasn't my students, she just always called them her kids, and I think that's so cool because she loved them well, and she still does 29 years later. And so, God willing, I have a daughter someday that wants to be a teacher, and I would absolutely cheer her on in that, and I hope that would be awesome, that we'd have the same opportunity to share a building, share a profession, because 2 years ago I didn't want to be in the same place as my mom, not because of anything she did, but I thought I wanted to see the world a little bit. Exactly. And now it has been the biggest blessing. I don't know if I would have come out as strong this year after year one if I didn't have her supporting me.
And I think it's unique too is that like we make school our family. When we were Rough Riders, my kids, my student council kids, Hannah and Charlie would come with to all the events, and they treated them, like gold. And then, just cheering on those athletes and, getting to see them excel, then they became the older kids. And now we see the same thing with Montel, like we're a Cavalier family, and we can't wait for him to join us.
That's such a good perspective. So many nuggets in this. I just think the joy factor is something that is an intentional choice. And you made that intentional choice a long time ago that you were going to find joy in this profession, because you're right, Hannah. It's not an easy profession. You kind of had a built-in mentor and a big cheerleader with you all year long. But it is also the way that we integrate this profession. People talk about work-life balance, and I have said I don't believe in that concept. It has to be integrated, because any one little thing can throw a side out of balance. But if you're integrated, then they just fit together. And sometimes that's hard, and sometimes it's easy. When I was a teacher, one of the first things I did was have my kids over to my house, because there's just something about the relationship side. And you have embraced that fully, and now together you're doing that as well. I just think you're both setting such a great example for how we can just embrace the profession moving forward. And you're a bright future, Hannah. I'd love to think that I'll still be around to do the podcast with you and your daughter. Not sure that's going to happen. Michelle, you might still be around. Let's go for 50.
I hope not. I hope we're at the lake reading books.
we can hope for that too. But I just think you guys have done such a great job. It's such a unique thing that you've gotten to enjoy. So thank you for being part of this, and thanks for your work all year long with our students. And congratulations on a successful first year, Hannah. We're so proud of you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being on.